All right, guys. So last Friday, we talked about factoring out a GCF. And then Tuesday, we talked about actually factoring a trinomial, right, to the two sets of parentheses. Now, today, we're going to put those two things together. So are you learning anything new? Technically, no. We're just going to put those two skills together and what that looks like. All right, so first part, we already went through this again down here, these steps. That was Tuesday. We did this on Friday, but notice when we look from top down, what always happens first? The GCF. We got to take that out. You guys remember also we talked about on Tuesday when we're setting up our factors, like that's how we can eliminate some possibilities that we were like, hey, look, there's no GCF in the first part, so there shouldn't be a GCF in the parenthesis, right? That was one way to kind of eliminate some options. So if we have a GCF in the beginning, we want to take that out. It's going to make your numbers a lot smaller. So this is all stuff we did on Friday. All right, so here we go. So 8x squared minus 22x minus 6. So the first thing you always look for, no matter what, is your GCF. So what number goes into 8, 22, and 6? 2. So just like we did on Friday, we're going to take out a 2. What operation am I doing when I'm taking out that 2? I'm what? It's division. Yeah. Taking out a GCF is like undoing a distribute. When you distribute into things, we're taking it back out. So take out the 2. So we'll be left with 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. That was a skill we worked on Friday. Now, you're going to hear me refer to a lot. You'll hear me tell you that you lost your baby brother. You lost your baby brother. I like stupid ways to remember things, okay? You're going to get that from me. So when you hear me say that, I'm referring to your GCF that you pulled out. I don't know why, but students all the time, they'll take out the GCF, but they don't ever write him down anywhere. You have to keep him along with you, okay? He's still part of the problem. So I call him baby brother, right? Like he's annoying. He's just like there. Your mom told you to look after him, so you have to like drag him along all the way, right? Like don't lose your baby brother. So if you hear me say that to you, I'm referring to that number out in front, okay? The GCF that you pulled out. All right, now let's work on what we did on Tuesday, right? We took something like this, and we broke that down to two sets of parentheses. Which sign do we look at? The last one. If the last one's negative, how do you multiply to get a negative number? Good. 1 plus, 1 minus. All right, again, I put it on here if your last one's positive or negative. Last one's negative, opposite, meaning 1's plus, 1's minus. Okay? All right, and then we listed our factors for A. Baby brother, he's there, but I'm ignoring him, right? We don't care for our younger siblings, right? I'm ignoring him. So options for A, we're going to have 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Options for C, 1 and 3. All right, so do you want to go 1 and 4 or 2 and 2? 1 and 4? So 1x, 4x. All right, the only option I have is 1 and 3, but do you want to go 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? 3 and 1? Now, some of you did not realize that you actually have to check these. I can't just throw random numbers in there and go, yeah, it's good, and call it a day. You have to check these. Now, on Tuesday, we were doing a full distribute, right? You distributed the x to both. You distributed that one to both. Do I have to do all of that every single time? What's the only part I'm checking to make sure it worked? The middle. I know the other parts are going to work because I'm pulling the numbers right from them. I'm checking if this middle one is the one that's working. So you only need to check your inside and your outside. I'm going to save you guys some time, okay? So if I check the inside, that gives me a positive 12x. Outside, x times negative 1 is negative 1x, and that gives me 11x. Did it work? No, what's wrong with it? I got the 11. It needs to be a negative at 11x. I got positive. So what's the trick to fix that? Just switch your signs. Yeah, that one should be the plus, this one should be the minus. Right? Because that'll flip those signs and it makes everything beautiful. Now, again, don't lose baby brother. He's still out front. Every time you finish factoring and baby brother is not hanging out front, you lose a point. I've had students like almost fail a test before because they forgot baby brother on every single one. Yeah. Mom will be really mad if you lose your baby brother, okay? You've got to bring him with you. You like that analogy, don't you? Nah, we just, left him and we walked away. I don't know. All right, how about the next one? 8x squared minus 4x minus 12. What's the first thing you always look for? Good. Greatest common factor, which is 4. All right, so let's take out a 4. Now, a couple things I see happen every time I teach factoring to students. First thing people do is they jump right into factoring 2 sets of parentheses and they forget the GCF. Can you still factor it without taking out a GCF? Yes, you can. However, it's not right. It's like leaving 5/10 as an answer. It's not simplified. Okay? Also, if you take out the GCF, the options that you have to choose from, you get a lot less. So you want to take that out. Okay? Other things I see students do is they write down the 4 like this, and then they try to make this into 2 sets of parentheses right away. You can't do that yet. Take out the 4, see what you have left, then take it further. Okay? So just take out the 4. What do we have left? 2x squared. Good. Minus x. Good. All right, so step 1, we took out our GCF. Will every problem have a GCF in it? No. Everything we did on Tuesday, none of those had a GCF. Okay, so but you always want to look for it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. All right, then, don't lose baby brother. We're going to go ahead and set up our 2 sets of parentheses. My last one is negative. How do you multiply to get a negative? Good. Positive and a negative. All right, what are my options for A? Options for C. Now, take a minute and look before we finish this problem. Had you not taken out your GCF, you would have had 1 and 8 and 2 and 4, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Look at all the options you would have had to kind of mess around with. Pull out your GCF. I don't have any options. I just have I might have to flip it once. That's all I'm going to have. All right, so we have 1x and 2x. 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? 1 and 3. All right. And if you like to do a full distribute, you're more than welcome to. I'm just the lazy mathematician who tries to do less. So my inside gives me 2x. Outside, x times negative 3 is negative 3x. And that makes negative 1x. Did it work? Yeah, negative 1x is what I wanted in the middle. So it worked. So this is my final factored answer. The other thing I see students do is they go to check this, and they think that they look at this like it didn't work because they're trying to get this. Once you take out the GCF, it's like I don't even care about this anymore. Like it's gone. I simplified that by taking this out, and now this is what I'm focused on. Okay, so don't get yourself stuck trying to go back to the beginning where it's never going to happen. Baby brother just hangs out front. He's just hanging out. Can't lose him. He's still part of the problem, but. Because guys, the thing with factoring is I should be able to, at any point, multiply your answer back together and go back to the beginning. Dylan, I'm going to pick on you for just a minute. On his GCF homework, he had all the GCFs written down, but that was it. Like he didn't actually take them out and divide them out and tell me what was left. So on his paper, would he have ever been able to take his answer and go back to the beginning? No, because all he had was literally like 7, whatever the GCF was. Okay, so you should be able to multiply. So here, like if I would multiply these 2 back together, I'd go back to here. Then I could distribute the 4 back in and go all the way back to the beginning. So you should have every piece that I could go back to the beginning of the problem. 4x squared minus 22x plus 30. Is there a GCF? Yeah. What goes into all of them? That's it? Just the 2? Yeah, okay. Sometimes you think there might be more, but in this case, there's not. So we'll take out a 2. So write down the 2, and then we'll divide that out. So what do we have left when we take out a 2? Beautiful. Okay. Then we're going to try to factor further. Will everything always factor further? Yes or no? Now, homework for this section, yeah, it will. Okay, I'm going to make sure they do. But like when it comes time for like a test over like all of our factoring, there may be things that you take out of GCF and that's it. Okay, you have to get used to looking for these things. Notice everything that we factor has an x squared, then an x, and then a number. So if I would have like x squared y, and then another xy, and then like a w or something on the end, would that factor further? No. Everything's an x squared, then an x, then a number. That's the way they always are when we're factoring. Okay? They have to be in that form. All right, so here we go. My last one is positive. How do you multiply to get a positive number? They're either 2 positives or they're 2 negatives. In this case, they are 2 negatives. Otherwise, I'd never get a negative in there. All right, options for A. 1 and 2. All right, so 1x and 2x. Then options for C. Good. Again, stop and take a minute. Had you not taken out that GCF, you would have had 1 and 4, 2 and 2, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Think of all the options you would have. Now, I don't have as many. Makes your job a lot easier. All right, do you want to go 1 and 15 or 3 and 5? In that order, 3 and 5? Yeah? He spoke first, sorry. I was just writing down what he said. All right, so let's check this. Inside, what's the inside give me? Good, negative 6x. And the outside gives me, and together that makes, is that what we wanted? Hey, it works. I'm glad I listened to you. What would you have done if had it not worked? Flip the signs? There you go. Yeah, if that would not work, I would take your 3 and 5 and I would have flipped them. Okay, I just want to make sure that we're clear on the process there. Should you ever flip-flop your A values? No, leave those be. Okay, flip-flop the C values if they don't work. Oh, that's a big one. All right. Is there a GCF, we hope? Because those numbers are kind of big. 3? Anything besides a 3? And an x? Yeah. Because this is an x cubed. What's the form of everything that we factor? X squared, x number. Okay, the way this sits, that's not. But if I pull out my GCF, which we said is 3x, we should be left with that form. So that means I'm taking 3x from all of these. All right, so 21 divided by 3 is 7. X cubed, I took an x. What do I have left? X squared. Negative 24 divided by 3, negative 8, and just a single x. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And then the x's, are they there or not? They are not. All right, those numbers look a little more doable. All right, so we'll set this up. Don't lose baby brother hanging out front. Last one is negative. How do you multiply to get a negative? Plus and a minus. Options for A. I like that. Options for C. All right, still 3 options, but think about what it was as a 36. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. We had a lot more options. All right, so we have 1 and 7. Okay, so 1x and 7x. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 2 and 6. 2 and 6. So we try. Inside gives me 14x. Outside, negative 6x. And then what's 14 minus 6? That's 8x. Is that what we wanted? Flip our signs. Good. I got the 8x part, but I needed it to be negative, so that just means my signs are backwards. There you go. So that'll flip all your signs. How are we feeling? You guys are kind of hard to read today. Are we okay? Can I get a thumbs up, thumbs down, somewhere in between, just so I can get a visual of where we're at? Okay. Thank you. At least someone answered from over there. All right. Why don't you guys try this one on your own then? Okay? Remember, pull out the GCF first. Make sure number's a lot smaller. All right. So first thing is looking for the GCF. What number went into both of them? 2. And then is there variables in all of them? X. Okay, so first thing you want to do is take out the 2x. All right, so we should have been left with 3x squared plus 7x minus 20. So that should have been step 1. And look, walking around, looks like most of you got to there. Okay, some of you struggled a bit after that though. So don't lose your baby brother. Set up your parentheses. Last one is negative. How do you multiply to get a negative number? Good, a positive and a negative. All right, if you get your signs wrong, you're going to try to do this until you're blue in the face and it's never going to work, okay? So make sure you get those signs down. All right, options for A, 1 and 3. Options here, you're going to have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Now, walking around, some of you beautifully had your list written on each of them. That's great. I love to see that. Some of you who struggled to factor it, I didn't see the numbers written down on all of yours. Okay, make sure you write them down. That way you have some numbers you can kind of start looking at and playing with. All right, so we know it's 1 and 3, so we'll go 1x and 3x. Do you like 1 and 20, 2 and 10, or 4 and 5? 4 and 5, in that order, 4 and 5? Yeah? Okay, so when we check this, inside gives me 12x. Outside gives me negative 5x. And together that makes 7x. Which is exactly what I wanted. All right, so we should have had a 2x. One of them should be an x plus 4. It's okay if you have it second. And then one of them's a 3x minus 5. Okay? All right, so that's the end of what the new stuff we're learning today. Okay? Technically new. We're just putting together the two things.